What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We're checking out the first trailer for Avatar: Fire and Ash. When we went to go see Fantastic Four last week, we got to see this trailer in Dolby 3D. So we only got to watch it twice, so I'm excited to actually watch it again, and we'll talk about the 3D experience of watching this as well.
Adam, we watched it 3 times, my friend. We actually sat there for, we're like,
3 times?
Let's do it a third time.
Yeah, we watched it 3 times.
Nice. Yeah, they were playing it on a loop, which was really cool. And you know us, we love our 3D. We're gonna recommend you see this in 3D. This is literally one of the most made for 3D movies or franchises ever made. So you're gonna do yourself a huge disservice if you don't go see this in 3D. And that's all I'll say. But if you guys want to see, we did a rewatch of the first Avatar in 3D on our channel. You can enjoy it in 2D. We're not gonna make you sit there with anaglyph glasses, but you can watch that. We have the uncut on Patreon as well. And I don't know, maybe we'll rewatch The Way of Water as well.
We got to.
If you guys are down.
It's a must. I'm a big fan of
Avatar. I'm gonna rewatch
so
it no matter what.
Yeah. I just rewatched it last week, so let's do it again.
Sick, dude. That whale part, best part, dude. Best part. And also look for our social media because I'm gonna post. I got to interview the composer for Avatar:
Simon
Fire and Ash
Fraglin.
and Avatar: The Way of Water. Simon Fraglin. Super cool dude, huge Doctor Who nerd. So look for that. It was really cool to get to chat with him, man. Really, really great. So yeah, I'm super excited. The music sounds beautiful. We at Comic-Con, when I went to this panel, got to hear a little snippet of like, they were sort of debuting this new theme for this new Na'vi tribe, which is really cool. They're like in the air. He also briefly talked about the music he was doing for this Na'vi villain that we see in this trailer. And since we had seen the trailer before, and then the trailer hadn't come out online yet, but then I went to this Comic-Con panel, I was like, I know who he's talking about. We saw her. She's in the trailer and looks cool as hell, dude. So keep that in mind that like this, he was saying like, she is amazing and has a great presence. And like, you know that this is gonna be a good movie villain. Dude, Avatar has good villains, bro. If we're going from Quaritch to this, it's gonna be good.
For sure. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, a submarine. A submarine.
The strength of the ancestors is here.
The effects in this are so crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's really insane. That's wild.
Dude, shout out to the animators working on these films too. Stunning.
Yeah. Oh, teenage drama.
In hate.
Ooh, marital drama.
Don't tell her how to live, Jake Sully. Don't tell her how to live.
If there is something you can do, then you must do it.
Young Sigourney Weaver. There she is.
Wow. This tribe looks insane.
Looks so cool.
They're firebenders, essentially.
Yeah, dude, I'm on her side, bro. She didn't do anything wrong.
Not the kids.
No, Spider. And we will find another way.
Yes, the whales.
Baby.
All right, best part coming up. Dude, that's crazy. Oh, no. The spider's gonna die.
Look at that guy. God damn.
Goodness has no dominion here.
Ooh, chills, bro.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting seeing some of the comments talk about like, you know, the movie doesn't really give you, the trailer does not give you a ton. You get just enough on story, but it's really just a visual spectacle. And at this point, I'm like, at least for me, I loved the first film. I loved the second film. I don't need to necessarily know anything about the story. I'm in
Not at all.
it for the adventure. I'm in it for the experience because it is such a transformative, immersive experience watching these movies in the theater on the biggest screen with the best sound in 3D. I love it. Like you could literally just put one teaser trailer and it just be a showcase of the visuals in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm in. Like I don't need anything else. It's the director of Terminator, Terminator 2,
dude.
True Lies, Titanic. Like I don't know like how much story you need to know before you go. Like you kind of already know enough from the second film.
Who watched the first two movies and was like, I don't know, I'll go see the third one depending on what the plot is. Like, bro, the plot. Did you not experience those films? You know, I'm not saying that the plot is thin or whatever, but like I think to echo what you're saying, Adam, you kind of know what you're gonna get. At this point, similar themes and sort of plot and story moments have happened for both. It's about how human beings have come and invaded Pandora and have ruined things. That's what it's about. And it's about this like native species, this native race of people kind of fighting and standing up for that.
Right.
And that's it. So like, yeah, I don't know. But it's also, these movies do that. But a huge part of these movies, I'm sorry, is the visuals.
Yeah.
A huge part of that experience is the James Horner music, R.I.P. James Horner. That like when I hear that theme with those horns, the da-da-da-da, like it stirs something in me, dude. I love that music. I love that composer. And the point of these films is also to, frankly, watch them in 3D because it's part of this immersion that happens. So yes, if there are people that are like, I'll wait to see what the plot says on Wikipedia before I go. Then I'm like, well, then you should have dipped out after the first one. Because to be fair, I know people who there's so many like criticisms of these films, and I feel like most, if not all of them, are valid. I'm not saying they're not.
Sure.
I know people who saw the first one and they went, not for me. I don't really want to check out the second one. Dude, fair. But if there are people that are like waiting on plot stuff in the trailer for part 3, but they've seen the first two, multiple, you know what I mean? I'm just like, what are you doing?
This is where they call it quits?
Yeah,
it's not.
I'm like,
you lost me at the firebending tribe. I'm like, what?
James Cameron is just putting on an absolute masterclass in filmmaking and technology and cinematography. These shots, honestly, when I watch Way of Water, I have a 3D TV in my living room, and I can't believe what I'm seeing sometimes.
Dude,
when I'm seeing this motion capture, the motion and the details in the hair, not a single frame of these movies has not been meticulously looked over by James Cameron and approved by James Cameron. Everything is absolutely down to the last detail, cared for, cared about, and worked on by artists. I know a guy who's been working at Weta and on these movies for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
And he's a good friend of ours. And this has been his whole cinematic career at this point. Because there's so much work being put into these movies from every single behind the scenes technical aspect of the filmmaking here. And so, call the plot thin, whatever. Look at what you're fucking seeing, dude. This is insane. Look at the motion capture, the facial expressions. They're capturing all this emotion and energy, and the way that like it's being presented on screen. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. I know a lot of people who don't look twice at this franchise, and I think they're doing themselves. Like if you call yourself a fan of film, I think you at least have to put some respect on, even if you don't like these movies, put some respect on Avatar and this whole process, because this is a technical achievement that has not been put on before. So props to James Cameron and the entire team, Weta, everybody who's been working on this, because this is 1000%. Just absolute peak filmmaking.
Yeah.
I think you're so right, Augustine. I feel like the Avatar films, again, however you feel about story moments, whatever, they deserve to be spoken about in the same conversations as like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, even to step back further out of just like the genre of film and the sort of sci-fi fantasy is like when you think about the biggest groundbreaking, think about things like the Godfather films. Like these movies should be considered some of the greatest, by however you want to measure that metric, movies made by humans. They're insane, dude. They are insane.
Yeah.
So suffice it to say, I think we're all in for this movie, guys. We'll be there. We're going to go see it in 3D.
And there's no other way to watch it besides in 3D. I've seen the 2D versions, and it loses that energy that the 3D movies have. It's crazy how different they are.
High frame rate. How do we feel about it?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm not a fan. As much as I think these films are beautiful, we're watching this off of YouTube, and the fluidity of this, totally enough for me. I still have not been won over by the sort of high frame rate thing. I had a tough time with The Hobbit. I went and saw Ang Lee's Gemini Man. Me and Keller call it Tremini Man, because if you watch that movie, there's a third Will Smith. It's not just two, there's three. So that's really Tremini Man. But we did not love that format, that style. So talk about that, because they're gonna show that we saw the trailer that way.
Yeah.
And some of it looked very cool, but some of it did look like video game cutscene. And it does something to my brain.
I think it also really depends in what format you see the movie. I think if you see it in 2D, seeing it 24 frames per second is just fine, because if it has motion blur, any bit of motion blur, it's fine, because you're not having to worry about how it looks like in 3D space. I think for me, it's a little bit of a buildup. So when the trailer first started, it was a little jarring to just go directly into 48 frames per second. But as we sat there and we watched it multiple times, my eyes kind of eased into it. So I think there is a little bit of an adjustment. And I think the smart things that they've done, especially with Avatar 2, The Way of Water, knowing that it was going to be in 48 frames per second, there was a little bit of a ramp up, especially when you incorporate the 20th Century Studios logo, the Lightstorm logo, the slow introductions into Pandora with the slow fade-ins. I think they know that it's a little bit of an eye adjustment for people. And once it gets going, once we get maybe like 10 minutes into the film, I'm pretty calibrated and I'm pretty okay with it. But I think 48 frames per second is the maximum that I want to see. When I saw Gemini Man at 120 frames per second in 3D, it was
Adam,
too
Tremini
much.
Man. It's called Tremini Man.
It's Tremini Man.
When I watched it at 120 frames per second, it felt like overload in my brain. So I think 48 is like the absolute maximum I would want out of 3D and nothing more. So yeah, I think it's really a per case, sort of per person basis. For me, I'm okay with it, but there definitely is a point for me that I need to ease into that frame rate. And it does make the 3D look clearer because there is a lot less motion blur. And I think it just helps make everything feel a little bit more organic, but there is a little bit of that uncanny valley as well, where it starts to feel like a little bit more like a video game. And so, yeah, I don't love it. I enjoy it, but I need to be eased into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. It was pretty jarring at first, but on the third watch, I was like, okay, and maybe this is just because I have maybe more of a technical film brain, but I'm like, I understand why they're adding the frame rates at specific moments. It's basically for visual clarity. They're trying to make certain things stand out at particular points of the movie. And it really helps the 3D and some moments where 3D can look very jarring and pretty bad if it doesn't have more frames.
Especially with fast moving like wings and fire and all kinds of stuff.
Lights in the sky.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question though. Adam, if you go see the film at 48, is it going to be the entire film, or is it, because when we saw the trailer, like some shots were high frame rate and others were not, and I think that's what kind of messed me a little bit.
So the way that it works, based on my understanding, so I went to True Cut Motion, which helped create the 48 frame version of both films, and I'm assuming they're working on the third film. The whole movie, if you see it in high frame rate, it is all inside of a 48 frame per second container. So the whole thing is 48 frames per second, but with their technology, they can adjust how much motion blur there is to make it look like 24 frames per second. So when you get into the high action stuff, they reduce the motion blur so it looks clear. And when we get into like the slow moving, slow panning dialogue sequences where there's not a ton of motion, they can reduce it. And so, or I should say, they can increase the motion blur to make it look more like 24 frames per second. So that's another way how they kind of ease you in and out of that high frame rate mode. And like, I think that's something that I noticed when we watched the trailer was when it's just people talking and it's not super fast moving, it feels a little bit more like natural film, 24 frames per second film. And then when the action boosts and we start going into these incredibly immersive flying experiences, it goes into that no motion blur, full 48 frame per second mode where everything is very crisp and clear. And it does feel a little bit more video gamey. So it's a really interesting technology. And I would love for us to be able to maybe reach out to someone at True Motion or at 20th Century and have an opportunity to talk about these things, because it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
I need to learn. Teach me, True Motion.
So that's the thing.
Have us come over.
I do think that, you know, there is people like us who are going to look into the technicalities of these things, but I also think that there's going to be enough people who go and watch this and maybe don't even notice it. I have seen this huge phenomenon, guys. You're not going to like this, but there's kids who are growing up with the true motion turned on their TV, and they don't know any other way that they don't know that film and TV looks any other. I know it's bad. It's bad. I'm going to hit you with this though. They're going to go in and watch this movie, and they're not going to notice a difference because that's the way their TV looks at home. That's the media they've been consuming. And I've been watching reels online too. People are doing a AI 4K version of old movies.
Oh yeah,
and they're all in super high frame rate. They have millions of views, millions of comments about how good it looks. They get rid of the film grain. And I'm like, you guys are butchering this media. I'm not saying that James Cameron is doing this. But what I'm saying is that there's people, young people who have eyes who are adapted to view the motion like this. So they're not going to see anything weird. We see it weird because we grew up with animation and normal television, 24 frames per second.
Yep. And someone just did this with Thunderbolts. There was a clip of Thunderbolts, of Sentry fighting the Thunderbolts, and it was redone with optical flow and probably in After Effects or something from 24 to 60 frames. They boosted the brightness, they boosted the contrast, and they boosted the saturation. And someone retweeted and was like, how did you make this scene look like absolute ass? And I was like, well, this is what they did. They completely butchered it.
Looking at though. Yeah,
guys, I think it's fine for like fan edits when people take like Sentry Bob fan edits and they do little edits and moves with music and cute little things. I'm like, go for it, but don't do that other stuff. That's wild.
If you look at the views these posts are getting, dude, they're getting millions and millions of interactions. So people are supporting this, and lots of people see this as normal. So you know, maybe we're old school at this point, but
and some people might ask, you know, like if the movie's shot at 48 frames per second, how do you have a 24 frame per second version? You basically clip every other frame out. So it's every other frame is clipped out every second, and that's how you are able to take a 48 frame per second version and turn it into a 24 frame per second version. So just if anyone's wondering, and then they can make adjustments and they can add in motion blur if they want. So it's a whole technical thing. Like I think for Avatar: The Way of Water, I think James Cameron made, I think it was like 295 versions of the movie for different theaters, because the aspect ratio is different, whether or not you're seeing it on a regular screen, an IMAX screen, all that stuff. Dolby Cinema, Dolby 3D, everything.
That's what I'm talking about. I wish every filmmaker put in this kind of effort to their movies, dude. Like, there's just so much love and attention going into these movies, and for people to look at them and be like, whatever, looks bad. People. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
He's ensuring that if people go see the movie in whatever theater, that they can't be like, well, it was 3D, so they darkened it. James Cameron's personally going to every single theater across the country.
I need the lumens.
Each camera
popping.
Lumens pop.
Get them nits up, bitch.
He's ensuring that people can only criticize the plot. That's it. That's the only thing people can say. He's like,
that's it.
He's like, all right, that's fair.
Nothing else. Nothing
absolutely.
else.
But it looks really great. I cannot wait. I think revisiting Avatar when we did Before the Way of Water made me that much more of a fan, because I had not revisited too much since 2009. And then after seeing the second one, I'm like, you know, this is a franchise, like Augustine said, this one really deserves your attention for the technical aspects of it. But also I was really immersed by the storytelling as well. So I can't wait for this film and then the subsequent, I think, 3 sequels that are still to come out.
Yeah.
Whew. Lots of movies.
Good times. Good times at the movies, you guys. Good times at the movies.
But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you looking forward to Avatar: Fire and Ash? What are you looking forward to seeing? Are you going to see it in 3D? The most important question, the way it was meant to be seen. Check out everything else we're watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Heroes Reforged is gonna react. Heroes Reforged is gonna review. Heroes Reforged is gonna discuss. That's why we are watching.